Wow, it's Christmas Eve. Boop, boop. What are we going to do in Snippet Land on Christmas Eve? We're not going to do anything. Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Ambitious Women Over 40, helping you elevate your mindset to trade hangovers for higher consciousness, one powerful snippet at a time. I'm Becca Jacobson, and I got a big fat grin on my face because I am talking to you, and I love that. I love that. Gals, today I'm going to tell you how to do nothing, how to stop doing things. Just stop. Whatever it is you're doing, stop doing it. Why? Because it's not about what we do, it's about who we are. So I'm playing with words. I'm being a little silly today, but this is actually really important. I'm talking about your identity. This stems from a question you can ask yourself in the morning. Instead of getting up in the morning and saying, "What do I have to do today?" We get up in the morning and we say, "Who am I going to be today? Who am I showing up as today?" Gals, our identity, we don't look at it often enough. We don't think about it often enough. We think it's more important to us to have do lists, checklists, plans, do, right? But more powerful than any checklist is a decision to be a particular type of individual. And you can choose. You get to choose who you are. And over time, you become the woman you want to be. We start by defining and describing her, and then we work towards actually being her. And I'm going to talk today about how to do that. The truth of the matter is that your behavior, in other words, what you do, is actually downstream from your identity. The things you do because of who you identify as, who you think you are, who you believe you are. Your actions will always snap back to your old you if you don't change your identity. So we can take on, oh, I'm going to not drink and I'm going to exercise or whatever. We can get a do list going, right? A plan. But if we're doing the things on that list from the same identity, we're going to struggle. It's going to be really hard because we just want to go back to being us. So we go deeper and we look at identity first. Doing creates moments of progress, but identity can create a whole new life. If internally you think of yourself as someone who struggles or someone who can't trust herself or someone who has to be perfect, or heaven forbid, I'm a drinker trying not to drink, there's an identity that most of us have. That identity will keep you not only stuck, but even if you do manage to quit, it'll keep you very unhappy. I'm a drinker trying not to drink. That was my identity. My first identity was, oh my goodness, I can't stop drinking. That's an identity I lived with for many, many years. And then I became, oh, I'm a drinker who's trying not to drink. That is so uncomfortable and it will never work. We have to change who we believe we are. Our nervous system itself will fight against us if we're behaving in ways inconsistent with who we think we are. So if we're saying, I'm a drinker trying not to drink, that's a conflict, an internal conflict that will cause so much internal strife. Talk about discomfort, which we talked about on Monday. This will send you, well, right back to the bottle. So we have to get an identity that we can work with, one that excites us. Well, I have heard women resist the idea of creating an identity that they can grow into because of fear of failure. But that's like saying, I'm not going to learn how to drive a car in case I have an accident, or I'm not going to learn how to, well, let's put it this way. When a baby's learning to walk and they fall down, we don't say to them, oh, you better stop. You just might hurt yourself. We tell them to keep trying. We need to learn how to walk. We need to keep trying. But if your identity isn't in line with what you're trying to accomplish, it's very difficult. So let's talk about how we can look at our day and ask, who am I being today instead of what am I doing today? Once you do pin down a new identity and begin working towards it, it makes your decisions automatic. For example, once you see yourself as a woman who doesn't need wine to cope, that's a new identity. When you grab onto that identity, even though it doesn't quite fit you right, you still work with it. What happens is you no longer wrestle at 5 p.m. with a decision or not, because you have a new identity, and your identity of a woman who doesn't need wine to cope, instead of a drinker who's trying not to drink. Well, you're just going to have a big argument at 5 p.m. with your own mind and end up drinking. You know, that's happened to you so many times, right? All of us. Doing takes willpower, but being takes alignment. Once we define who we want to be, then we just align ourselves with her. We take actions that she would take. And yes, at first it's uncomfortable, but that's what we're doing. We're becoming someone new. And we often do this backwards. We think, well, eventually I'll become a woman who's comfortable without alcohol, but right now I'm a woman who's struggling not to drink because I want to drink. Instead, we can go to the end, define that woman, and bring her back here into the present and be her today. Be your future self now. That is actually the name of a book that we studied here in Snippet Land. I don't know, approximately a year ago. It was written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. That's the title of the book. Be your future self now. The entire book is laid down on that premise. He's saying exactly what I just said. We don't say, oh, one day I'll be so-and-so. We decide who we want to be and we be her now. All this takes is, first of all, a decision to do it. Second of all, defining our identity. And thirdly, deciding, okay, it might feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to be her today. And then we're going to have to be reminded over and over because we'll forget. And then here's what's going to happen. You'll forget. You'll just default back to your old habitual sort of autopilot identity. And then all of a sudden you'll catch yourself and go, oh, wait a minute. And that's okay. That's what we call growth. That's what this is all about. We don't expect perfection, ever. But I want to be really clear on this. Your future identity is not a fantasy self. It's a version of you that your life is already nudging you towards becoming. The fact that you're hearing my voice, the fact that you're in Snippet Land, the fact that you want an alcohol-free life, I know you do or you wouldn't be here. That in itself is proof that your future self is saying, let's do this. Let's become this other person. Your soul, your spirit, your higher self is nudging you towards becoming her. So it's not a fantasy. When you ask, who am I becoming? You give yourself direction. When you ask, what should I do? You only give yourself tasks. That's it. So gals, this process has to begin with defining the identity that you want to grow into. Now, you might not want to do this on Christmas Eve. Maybe you do. It's okay. Just put this aside and get at it next week when you're not so busy. But I strongly encourage you to do this work. And this work includes sitting down, taking at least a half an hour and deciding who you want to be. Who is this future identity? Here are some questions you can ask. How does she speak to herself? How does she hold boundaries? How does she move through a stressful day? How does she carry herself? Your future self may very well walk differently. Her shoulders are back just a little bit more. Her head's held just a little higher. She walks with more confidence. How does she rest? How does she care for her body? How does she handle evenings without wine? How does she regulate her nervous system? How does she treat other people? These are all questions you can ask yourself as you're defining her. You get to create her. Grab a pen and create her. And once you have her detailed and written down and you've got a visual of her, an image of her, begin to love her. I'm serious. I want you to not only love her, but trust her. I want you to look forward to her as someone you can trust that is helping you and guiding you on this journey. And she's there right now, today. She's there waiting for you to step up and align yourself with the way she shows up in the world. So as I said, gals, this starts with defining her. Take some time when you have time, maybe over the week between Christmas and New Year, because New Year is a time of renewal, isn't it? And this would be a great time to identify who you want to be. But if you're unsure how to take on this project, how to define her, and then how to become her over time, then fear not, my dears, because guess what's right around the corner? Juicy January. It's a 31-day sobriety challenge for you, gals, in Snippet Land. That's right, you, 40-plus women, with me, 31 days in January. And part of that process is going to be future self-identity work. I'm going to give you the work, show you how to do it, and help you to walk into that new identity during the month of January. I got an evil plan for you. I got it all planned out. So if you haven't signed up yet for Juicy January, now would be a great time to do that. The link is in the show notes. It's free, and it's spending the entire month of January with me and other women just like you. We'll do future self work plus a whole lot of other amazing strategies, not to mention a lot of love and support, so you can start this new year so strong that you just keep going and going and going. That's what happens when women come join me for Juicy January and show up for themselves. Now, let me get clear here. A lot of women sign up for it. I'm talking to the women who are going to show up for it. Last year really was amazing. The women who showed up for Juicy January changed their lives. They're still sober, gals, many of them. So go ahead and get your Christmas over with and then turn your attention to the new year. And when you do, think of me, think of Juicy January, think of the woman you want to become, and sign up and join me for Juicy January 2026. And together we will create your future self. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.